What's up? What's up? If you guys can hear me, say good morning in the chat. Let's get this show on the road. We got GDP today. Nvidia earnings, Moderna earnings, Alibaba earnings. We got some news coming out today. If you guys can hear me, say good morning in the chat. I think y'all are able to type. Yeah. There we go. Perfect. We're about to start it right now, actually. Let's go over Nvidia first. Nvidia earnings were good and bad. Put it that way. Let's go over it right now. Moderna earnings. Now, before I get into that, let's look at the actual stock itself. You guys can see it's testing my 230 level right now, which is unfortunate because it might actually break pre-market. So this 230 level, this is up from earnings. Now let's go over the reason why. So Nvidia, quarterly revenue of $6 billion, down 21% year over year. The only good thing about this is that it's up quarter over quarter. All right, you guys can see the revenue, $6 billion, and it's up 2% from last quarter. Now, year over year, it's down 21%. Gross margin down 2.1%, but for the quarter over quarter is 9.7 points, up 100%, up another 100% on net income, up 110% diluted earnings per share. But year over year, down 58%, down 53%, down 52%. So this year over year is killing them, but everyone's looking at that quarter over quarter because they beat it by a lot. You guys can see that they came out with 88 cents per share, beating the expectations of 81 cents a share. So they're doing good quarter over quarter, but year over year, they're not doing that great. But again, everything is not going to be doing that great. During COVID, during last year, everything was rising because it was so cheap to actually be able to buy stuff. You know, we didn't have any interest rates or anything like that. And now for this year and part of last year when interest rates started going up, these earnings are just not looking the best, especially year over year. But quarter over quarter is doing good. What's next? Yeah, so honestly, like, there's really not much to look into here. Like, year over year, they're pretty down bad. Quarter over quarter, they're doing all right. But let me see. Yeah, revenue 7 to 6. Yeah, that's bad. But 26. That's like right there. That's pretty flat. Like, all these earnings are either flat or they're bad. I think it was Home Depot that was pretty flat. And especially for Nvidia, earnings that are flat is not good because this thing's a growth stock. Like, people want to see continued growth in this company in order to keep investing, and you're not really seeing that. That's Nvidia. Let's go to Moderna. So you guys can see Moderna is now at this 151 area. My 150 level is probably going to break, unfortunately, but it's all good. You guys can see this right here. Moderna earnings fall short of estimates amid steep decline in COVID vaccine sales. It's the only thing keeping them alive. 3.61. So it had a net income of 1.465 billion, 3.61 a share. In the fourth quarter, down from 4.868. That can't be right. That's insane. Net income of 1.465 billion, 3.61 a share, down from 4.868 billion, or $11 a share in the year earlier period. Revenue fell to 5 billion from 7 billion. All these earnings are just terrible. Consensus was 4.6 with a revenue of 5. Decline. Product sales 30%. Like, it just doesn't. Moderna doesn't look good either. Surprised it's not down more. I guess it's down $20, which is something, but feel like it would be down a little bit more from that. And Alibaba. Alibaba's the only good thing about this earnings. Let's go to Baba. Yeah, that thing is running. It's crazy. It's up to that 101 area, 102 area. Alibaba stock jumps after earnings beat. Let's look at the earnings beat. Reported earnings of 2.6 per American. Sales 35.9 billion, up 2% on an annual basis. Firmly above analyst expectations, so it beat it by about 17 cents per share. Sales in line with estimates. That's crazy. So this is the only good earnings today is Baba. It met expectations. Everything else, Nvidia beat expectations, but it's still down pretty bad year over year. And then Moderna Moderna was bad. So we have about 14 minutes left until GDP and jobless claims come out. So I'm very curious about that. I think the consensus for GDP is high 2, maybe lower 3, probably like 2.9%. Yeah. Let's go over this real quick. All right, so stocks to watch out for. We looked at Nvidia. Nvidia is going to have a lot of momentum today, especially with GDP today, and earnings, of course. Lucid reported a drop. Okay, so Lucid also had earnings. I forgot about that. Shares dropped more than 8% in pre-market trading. We don't even have to look at earnings. This is bad. Burned through more than $2 billion in cash in the fourth quarter. eBay reported a 4% drop in quarter. Yeah, everything's so bad right now. Moderna. So we went over those. Natural gas prices plunge. Have dropped more than 65% since mid-December. Good. Charting the markets. We already went over that. Market's down bad. I don't care. So that's that. Gases continue to come down, poised to rise again as sanctions on Russia take effect. Saying two different things here now. What to watch for today's jobless claims today. It's always every Thursday anyway. So GDP coming out today. 2.9% is expected. Kansas City. I don't care about Kansas City. Natural gas prices plunge. We already went over that. Fed minutes show most officials' favorite quarter point rate rise. 25 basis points are still on that. A number of participants. We'll see how GDP is. See if they continue to keep that consensus of a quarter point rate. Mortgage applications fall to lowest level in 28 years. More parents moving in with adults. Yeah, this is about nothing else. Oh, this is for Intel. Kicks the 53 billion CHIPS Act program into gear this week. That's good. Alright, that is all the news. Yeah, that's all the news. Right now, futures is up right now on ES. We can go over ES real quick before GDP comes out. I think people just wanted a NVIDIA to pop for AI play. Yeah, AI is doing good for NVIDIA. But this is ES right now. Pretty solid so far, so good. It's coming up to... I'm surprised we actually been coming up to this area right there. When I made this watch list, it was last night, and we were right around this area. But this is everything I'm looking at on ES. So we have our resistance level right here. We have our support area right here. Previous low day. I mark all of these because there's a reason why it stops at these random points, because now they're not random. 40.25, nice psychological level right there. This important 4006 is very reactive yesterday, so I added this on my chart. Now, I said in my Discord, let's pull that up real quick. pull this up. Got about 10 minutes left till GDP comes out. Where is it? There it is. Alright, so I said this in my Discord last night when I made the watch list. I said ES is waiting for GDP tomorrow and it started to pick up, watching for the 4006 area. Bull case. So now, like I said yesterday, remember we were looking at NQ. Number one, that NQ level, if you guys were here yesterday, that NQ level was spot on yesterday. It was so reactive yesterday. Very reactive. If you guys watched my recap yesterday, I said this is very reactive. We had this on our chart before it happens, or else there's just no point in having a chart in the first place. You have to add these on your chart before it happens, and then next thing you know, this allowed us to get fully out at a certain area because we see it reacting at the important key level. We almost caught the bottom of that move right there just because we're at this important key level. And now next thing you know, you guys can see the NQ started to come up. We did not play calls. Remember, I said we can't play calls right here if this is a huge resistance zone unless it starts to break out. And as soon as we saw NQ break out, that's when we were able to get into the calls. Next thing you know over here, again, just very reactive areas, just back and forth, back and forth. Perfect reaction down here. This is why I have it on my chart in the first place. I don't have it for fun. Same thing right here. You only play calls when it breaks out. Now, this is why I look at this stuff. Now we have ES. This is not for fun. This isn't just a bunch of colors. I can't go long when ES is at this previous high a day. I can't go long when ES is in this area right here, right? Unless it's able to break out with strength. If I could really see buyers coming in at this area, then I'll be able to go long on Tesla or SPY or whatever it is I'm trading, or Nvidia. But if ES is rejecting the previous high a day or this right here, then I'm not going to be able to go long. The only thing I can be able to do is if something's setting up, if Tesla is trying to come down and I see it's about to break our downside key level, I'll be able to play puts if I see ES and NQ rejecting this area right here. Now, again, if we start coming down, it's literally vice versa. If we start to come down, like I said, so this is going to be our bear case. If we start to come down and if we want to trade puts, I said we wanted to make sure that we are rejecting the zone. So in order to play puts, we have to be rejecting this area right here, or we are breaking under this zone right here. I can't play puts if I see ES is bouncing at this area, or bouncing at the previous low a day, or bouncing at this 4006, right? Every single level is very important. Now, if we're in the middle of these two zones, like I said, this middle area is going to be something that we need to justify for when we get into our trades. I can't play puts if I see it holding up 4006. I can play puts if it's starting to come under that 4006. And then if it's under here already and it's trying to come up, I can't play calls if it's rejecting this 4006. The only way that I can play calls is if it's going above that 4006. Then, if it's going above that 4006, we have room into yesterday's high. We have room into this zone right here. Same thing for the downside. If we come under here and we're playing puts, we have room to that previous low a day. We have room to this support zone right here. And I said being careful of yesterday's low. You have to be careful of these two areas. They're very reactive. The reason why we get there and stop, there's something there. And you guys can see, as soon as we got to that 4025, we absolutely dumped. So it's very reactive in this area, and you got to be super careful if you're going long when ES is trying to reject this area. This is why I added on my chart. Hello, what do you think of SPY? I'm going to go over my watch list after GDP because I don't know what GDP is going to do, and it could just mess up all my levels. So I'm going to go over after GDP, but like I said, this is going to be very important. Market context, right? We have the buyer zone as well. That was so reactive yesterday as well. You guys were here in the call last night or yesterday morning. You guys saw that this thing kept bouncing in this area and is still so reactive until we broke under that and then came right back above that. This is a very reactive zone. You guys see this on the daily time frame. A very reactive zone. Literally bounced perfectly right there. We made the zone before these two candles even came about. Even before this candle. Because ES was all the way up here. And then now we just reacted right here. How does it react at these random levels? They're not random. It's just a bunch of buyers in that area. Literally, if there's a lot of buyers and there's not a lot of sellers, buyers are going to win. It's just imbalances. There's too many buyers here than sellers. The sellers need to start liquidating these buyers, and then we'll be able to go down. We're not going to go down on the first test. That's insane, unless news comes out or something like that. So we had the buyer zone right here. You guys can see this was FOMC minutes. We came up to that 40.25 and absolutely dumped. Very reactive. The reason why I have that on my chart. And we had this other resistance zone right here. But again, since we're trading, we're not getting up to that 41.75 like that at all. We need closer levels. And this is why I have these, because we need these closer levels when we're trading. We need market context right now. The video breaking 230. Yeah, I kind of figured that, honestly, just because GDP is coming out, this thing will just break earnings and stuff like that. This thing's probably going to be, I mean, if GDP is good, we're probably going to be at like 235. But right now it's reacting. See, look, I don't have this, like, I don't make this as soon as this happens. We had this way before this reacted. You have to find reaction areas, right? You would think that I just added that because of this, but this says 4.9. If you look in the 1 hour time frame, you guys can see exactly where I got that from. 230.49. Last time it broke out at 430, that's where it stopped. Why would I not want to add that on my chart? Because if we take it above that 230, we have to be careful because history repeats itself, and I want to make sure that we're able to clear that. And you guys see pre-market, it literally did the same thing. If we took it above that 230, we know there's going to be a reaction in that area. That's where you start to take the profits off, and you guys can see that was perfect. This is why I added on my chart. But yeah, 230 broke, unfortunately. Who knows? We might be at 235 and something else sets up there. But right now we're just waiting for GDP that's about to come out in 2 minutes. Yeah, 2 minutes right now. And jobless claims, as always. Yeah, if we get to 70 likes, I will live stream tomorrow morning. Anyone have any questions before GDP? I don't want to go over my watch list before, because like I can go over NQ real quick actually. You guys can see NQ, we had this same zone for I don't know how long, but you guys can see we came down. This 12.05525 was so reactive. The 12.156. You guys were here yesterday. You guys know this, right? We just rejected. You guys could see nice rejection in this area. Nice rejection in this area. Nice bounce in this area. If you were going puts, you would have got faked out if you didn't ride the momentum and then get out before it started reversing. Same thing here. If you got puts right there, you're like, oh my gosh, this market's about to come down, but you don't know this is an important key level and you see it start to react, you might not know what to do, right? But if I see it start reacting, that's when I'm going to start taking profits ASAP. Next thing you know, we broke above the zone and now we're holding that, which is strong. NQ is strong. We broke above our zone and now we're holding it. Same thing here. We're holding the zone and now we're trying to come up. All about the market context. Now let's see for GDP. It's about to come out in like two seconds. So let's see what the market is reacting like right now. Nothing yet. GDP. Now we are tanking. The page you requested was not found. I'll give it a minute. GDP is at 2.7%, which is better. Rate hikes are kind of working. There it is. %. Consensus was 2.9%. In the third quarter, real GDP increased 3.2%. 2.9%. It's not really that good. Increase in GDP, fourth quarter. Market's not liking that one. Current dollar GDP increased 6.7% annual rate. Real GDP, advanced estimate, second estimate. So it's 2.7% versus the estimated 2.9%. Right now the market it's coming down a little bit. Like, that's not even that bad. I mean, it's still bad, but how's these jobless claims looking? 1654K versus estimated 1700. So jobless claims is also down by a little bit as well. Market is not liking this one. So GDP came in worse than expected. Yield up 4.7 basis point, 1 to 2. That's different than all our other reports that we looked at. Let's see. It's not bad though. GDP is not bad. It's not anything crazy. It's like kind of what they expected already. So GDP is not even that bad. Market really didn't do anything at all. Right now it's at that 400 area. So GDP really didn't do anything. 2.7%. That's nothing crazy at all. Let me see if I get the full report for y'all. Yeah, I mean, as long as GDP is increasing, it didn't increase by much. Like quarter three, it increased by 3.2%, as you guys see right there. It only increased by 2.7%, which means it's slowing, but they kind of already expected it though. Maybe not by another 0.2%, but they kind of, I feel like that's fine. I feel like it's all right. So now with the watch list, since it really didn't do anything, the biggest levels that I'm looking at for Tesla, for example, if we look at this 1 hour time frame, if you look at this 1 hour time frame, we have this 218 level to the upside. Right, you guys can see this right here. We have this 218 reaction. Remember, I put a reaction level there at 217.82. And then 210, you guys can see there's a reaction there. Last time I did this, I need to delete this. We had this 210 reaction level. We almost played that the other day, but it just did not get to that 210 area. And now we're just back in this consolidation area. I want to see if we can go under that 188. You guys can see that we reacted there previously. We broke under that 188 and we came down to that 187.61. Still a very reactive area. I want to see what happens in that area, but that 188 is looking good. And then obviously 183, 180, but that's pretty far away. If we look at this 1 minute time frame, go closer, we can see 192. Very nice so far, but I'm going to look further away just to see how reactive this was previously. If we go back, let's just go back like 30 days. Let's see what 192 looked like. So we had a reaction there, and then we broke under there down to that 188. I really want to see, exactly what happened at that 192 level. 192 bounced and it came down about a whole $1.50. So that 192 was reactive there, and it kind of held up already. That 188 reaction there, and then it just absolutely drops. So 192 doesn't look bad at all, honestly, especially if you get a reaction there. Now the chances of us actually going down there is pretty slim. 192 is pretty far away, and we can't really play anything above 204 until 210. This had a nice reaction at that, like, this area right here, that like 208 area. The only problem is, I mean, there's not, it just doesn't really look good on the 1 hour time frame as much. Like, it looks all right. It depends, because I really want to take that 210. 210's pretty solid. That's the main one that I'm looking at. If 208 gives us a reaction, then we know that we can play that to the upside. That 208, 207 area. Because, like, even this area just doesn't really look that good. So I can't play 207 or 208 unless we get a very nice reaction there first. But those are potential. So I'll mark this out in, I'll make this like orange. These are potential depending on how we react there and how big the wall is on Bookmap for the level 2. But that 210 is the main thing I'm looking at for the upside. I'm not really looking at anything else between that. That 207, 208 for upside, 210 for upside. Downside is going to be a little bit tricky because 201 would look good if this didn't happen. But we absolutely broke above that 201 and then came right back down. So I just don't like how we reacted there yesterday. Even though that was a dollar move, the next downside level is not until, yeah, even 197 got invalid right there. So I want to see what is in store for Tesla today. We have the levels here. Downside's pretty far though, so it's probably going to have to be something intraday for downside on Tesla. But upside, we have this 210 level, 208, 207. These two are depending on how we react there and how big the walls are. Now if we go into NVIDIA, NVIDIA looks great. Only problem is we keep breaking out these levels. Like, look at that. We came up to that 231. That's the only thing that sucks. Let's go back. Last time we were at this area, it's been so long. Yeah, we haven't been in this area in so long, so it's not even like we could really prepare for this. Yeah, we're gonna have to. This is the only thing about stuff hitting new highs in such a long time. Like, obviously it's not all-time highs, but we haven't been in this area in so long. So again, this is definitely gonna have to be something intraday. Like, every psychological level up, if there's a reaction, 231. There's obviously a reaction there. Now, depending on how big the wall is, we'll be able to take it above there, because we can't just take it above there without a wall or anything like that. So 231 could definitely break pre-market, but if it doesn't, I'll be looking for that for a continuation, since we did break above that 230. NVIDIA is pretty strong already, but this thing could continue to keep going, break that 231 pre-market. I would not be surprised. Reject the wall. Might be too strong for now. Might get a break later in the day. It broke 230. Yeah. It sucks that it broke 230, but it's all good. ES, we already went over ES and Q. Let's take a look at SPY. Now, actually, let's go back to NVIDIA real quick. Let's see, where is my zone? Okay, so we had the buyer zone right here, as you guys see on the daily time frame. We had the buyer zone right here. It's pretty far away. It's not until that 195, so it's still far away. Nothing really we could do right now. It is at this 230 area, so it's trying to break out on the daily time frame as well. I mean, this area right here, you guys can see it's going to have some sort of struggling in that area, and that's what it did. As you see right here, this is where all the resistance was, and now it tried to break out, came back down. So hopefully we get a continuation of this run right here, right? Obviously not to 250 today, but I want to see if we could test maybe 235 and more, just because Nvidia is very strong today, especially because of its earnings. Now SPY, if we go to the buyer zone on SPY, 1 hour time frame, you guys can see that it literally consolidated back and forth in between this buyer zone right here. This 397 area, this 401 area. We literally came up, started rejecting that area, came back down. I want to see if we can get out of this area. We played puts yesterday. That was very nice. That was like a 31% move. But I want to see if we can get above this zone or below this zone and not just keep going back and forth in this area. But that 397 area is looking good. It's not looking bad whatsoever. If we go back to here, the 397 area looks great, right? This is where it stopped at, and it's right next to our zone, right next to our buyer zone. So if we can get it under that 397 into that buyer zone, that would be perfect. But we know that there might be a reaction here, so we got to be careful about this. We need to make sure there's actual sellers in that area. Now it's literally rejecting yesterday's area as well. So upside is going to be a little weird on SPY. Like, we just need to get through this area right here. You guys can see this area, but that's the same thing with ES though. So I'm really going to be looking at ES today because ES has the same exact area. You guys saw the same thing right there on SPY. If we take a look at ES, it's the same thing right here. So I'm really going to be looking at ES just to make my moves on SPY today. I want to make sure that ES is able to break out of this resistance zone if we're playing calls and not reject the previous high. See, look at that, right? This is why we have it on our chart beforehand. We want to not get into calls if it's at that previous high day and we see it kind of rejecting in that area. Like, you do not want to play calls here and you don't want to play puts here unless we're able to break through this with strength. Unless we're able to break under this with strength, you're not going to want to go against the market. The market will move you. And then people say the market's rigged, this and that. It's like, if you had market context and you just thought about it for a second, if there's a lot of buyers here and you're trying to play puts under here, what do you think is going to happen? You're just going to be down, right? This is not going to work out. You're going to get faked out. You have to go with the market. The market will move your entire position. And again, that's how you'll blow your account. People just don't understand market context is very huge. I'm not going to play calls here when it's at a resistance area unless I see real strength there. I'm not going to play puts here if it's bouncing at 4,006. Same thing right here. I'm not going to play calls here if it's testing the 40.25 for the first time and I see not a lot of buyers in that area and this was the price action leading into it. Absolutely not. So that's what I'm mainly looking at for the upside for SPY. As you guys can see though, it was choppy beforehand in this area coming right down. Something right about this area, that 4002 area, it doesn't look bad. Again, I want to see if ES can break above that area. If ES is able to break above that area and we're testing 402, that would be very nice for the upside break. If we can get out of that resistance zone on ES and we're able to break above that 402 and they both align almost like instantly, then that would be perfect, right? That's exactly what I want to look for on SPY. But that 397 is looking good. Again, we had the buyer zone right here. Now BABA 102, I don't know where I even had that from. Oh, that was from our previous level right here, that 102. Now we're coming back and retesting that. We bounced off of that area. We broke under that. Now this is the first retest of that 102. BABA had pretty strong earnings. So if you do want to play BABA, that 102 area is not looking bad whatsoever. Now Tesla, let's go over the buyer zone. It's on here. Yep. 1 hour time frame right here. Actually, we'll go to daily time frame. You guys can see we're pretty far away from this buyer zone as well. It's not until that 173. So right now it is about right here. So nothing crazy at all. You want to be careful about that. Obviously Nvidia is stronger than Tesla just because it had earnings, but we also had the buyer zone right there. Moderna. So Moderna also had earnings today, down to that 151. That 150 area is what I'm looking at for downside on Moderna. 168 as well. Very nice reaction there because of earnings. So 168 to the upside, 150 to the downside. Those both are looking good. 151 was a nice reaction as well. Be careful about that. Just put reaction. It might break pre-market, who knows? But 151 reaction, 150 to the downside, 168 to the upside right there. And then what else was I looking at? I think that's pretty much it for what I was looking at. Yeah, just ES. I didn't even post the watch list for my Discord yet just because we had GDP, so I'm going to do it in a second. But we were looking at Tesla, Nvidia, SPY, NQ. Yeah, we pretty much went over everything that I'm looking at today. So no fighting in the chat. Looks like Nvidia might reject, might get a break later in the day. How old are you? What does his age have to do with his trading? 27. Ask relevant questions and you'll learn something. Yeah, when I make this watch list, most of it goes over most of y'all heads. Like the people that actually like want to learn something and want to be here, like you'll learn something. This is very helpful. The people that like goes over your head and you just, I don't know what you be doing, but most of this stuff probably goes over people's head. So, not surprising. What is the GDP and jobless report? What's the numbers or what is it? The numbers is 2.7% for GDP. He's 27, no way. Not 27. I'm here to learn. I really want to learn how to trade. Like, what I'm saying should be very helpful for a lot of people, but a lot of people don't realize how they could use this. Or they just don't pay attention. Like, this is very important stuff. Very important. Even though you think it's just levels and lines and zones and whatever, like, who cares about this? It will make a difference in your trading. If you can get market context and you're not playing calls when it's rejecting this very high probability area of a rejection, then you won't get faked out as much. If you have the market context and you're trying to play calls and you see it breaking above that 12308.5, that'll give you a higher confidence, higher consensus of being able to actually play it above there. Like, everything on my chart is for a reason. Like, there's nothing on my chart that doesn't serve a purpose. Most of the things you say doesn't make sense to me. It's too advanced. I feel like I kind of make it simple. What about it is advanced? But again, I mean, I've been doing this for so long, so I have no clue if it sounds crazy or not. Hopefully you guys understand what I'm looking at. At least most of you guys. I am on YouTube, so I have no clue. Like, how do you know when to buy and when to sell? It's all about reaction areas. If I'm playing under this 150, right? Every level is for a reason. If I'm playing it below that 150 and I'm getting puts, you have to make sure NQ is going with you. You have to make sure ES is going with you. You need to make sure that there's more sellers here than buyers. You need to make sure there's a nice wall there so you can roller coaster off the market makers. You need to make sure that the time of sales is going in your favor. There's velocity. You need to make sure the bid and ask is following with you. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it, and I make it look super easy on YouTube, but there's so much stuff that I'm looking at while in the trade, and to be able to actually get in that trade and not get faked out. Like, there's so much that goes into it, and I make it look easy on YouTube. It's really not that easy. It just looks like that because you've been doing it for so long, but I'm really looking at everything. Time to sales is one of the most important things. But that's like the misconception with this. They're like, oh, you just play it under here? No. If you play it under there without any sort of context, you are going to get faked out. You're not going to do good. You're not going to know when to sell. You're not going to know when to enter, this and that, right? So, again, when this goes under 150 and then gets back above there, a lot of people are going to get faked out. It probably wouldn't show on the time of sales that there's velocity under there, and if it did, then you wouldn't get faked out, because if there's more sellers there than buyers, then we're going to continue to keep going down. We need to make sure there's a wall there. There's a lot that goes into it, but again, this is how we don't get faked out. This is how we're able to be consistent. I look at more stuff than most people look at. Everyone that I know looks at a bunch of irrelevant stuff. Everything that I look at is for the sole purpose of what I'm trading. I'm looking at, yes, I have these zones. I have these key levels here for a reason. This isn't something that I'm like, oh, like whatever, like these are just levels and these are reactions. No, everything that I have, I use. There should not be any sort of noise on your charts. Everything on my charts is for a reason. This is to help me trade and help me be consistent. Everything needs to align. And a lot of people, they'll just get under here, get above here, they'll play calls and just do whatever. I need a lot of stuff to align or else I won't be able to take it. And also market context. Again, that's pretty huge, and it probably went over half your heads, but market context is pretty huge. Everything that I look at on my charts, on my setup, on everything is just something that I look at for every single trade. I wouldn't have it on my chart if I didn't use it for each and every single trade. To learn all the details, you gotta join the disc. Believe me, previously I was in other groups and no one teaches like Lender. I just keep it real. Like, this is literally like, this is what's making me profitable. I mean, there's other ways you could be profitable, like selling premium and stuff like that for long term, but there's nothing like this though. Like, I'm just telling you exactly how it is and how I'm doing it, right? The strategy is pretty simple once you start to get a hang of it. Obviously not when you first get started, it doesn't look simple, but once you start to get it down, the strategy is the least of your worries, and it's more so you. Like, it's you versus you when it comes to actually after learning the strategy. Because you have to be able to click the button at a certain time, not hesitate, not get emotional. That's hard, right? That's the biggest problem with me, was I kept not stopping out where I was supposed to. And now, if I had DAS when I first got started, it automatically will stop you out, which would have been great. But again, I didn't grow up in that time. I didn't have DAS. I didn't even know what DAS was. And that's how I blew accounts. And I know they tell you you don't need to blow an account. And yeah, you don't really need to blow an account now. There's so many people out there that will help you and just learn from the mistakes. Like today, right now, I'm telling you exactly all the mistakes that I made. So you don't need to make those same mistakes on your own. But when I first started, there wasn't really anybody on YouTube. There wasn't really anyone to learn from. And then now, you guys are pretty lucky, honestly. And I still see people giving up on this time. Like, this day and age, giving up on trading is absolutely insane. Like, there is so much resources out there that it's like, it's very hard not to be profitable if you just put your head down for a year and like follow someone that's actually profitable and just learn from them. If you put your head down for a year and you actually want to learn how to trade, 1 year, you could learn this thing. Depending on how much work you really put into it. Do you do trades live? Yeah, I live trade every morning. Every morning the market's open, I trade live. Is it paid Discord monthly chat? Yeah, it's my trading chat on Discord. I only have trading chat. I don't have courses, none of that. I just have the live trading thing and then just lessons on there. I don't have a course or anything like that. Nothing. Biggest problem with me is buying after the break. Time of sales will get you in right as it's breaking. Watching your videos got me into trading. I've always been on and off, but now I'm full time. See, that's awesome. He's not lying. I feel like you only extended the charts. What you looking? Can you say? I feel like you only extended the charts. What you looking? Can you say it? Dude, sometimes I feel like I don't speak like English. I have no clue what that means. Do you trade Forex or futures? No, I just trade just regular options on Tesla, SPY, NVIDIA. Appreciate you. How'd you get that to light up? That's pretty fire. Appreciate you. I'm a 2-year noob, and I could say, of all the popular names, Leonard has been humble, transparent, speaks volumes of truth. Appreciate that. Oh, yeah. I don't. If you could reword that, then I'll be able to gen it. But I have no clue what you're saying. Been on DAS for 2 months. I figured out the problem and now know how to execute. Yeah, DAS. Dude, DAS is pretty goated, honestly. I wish I had that when I first started. And if you're wondering if I'm sponsored, I am not yet, but I wish. DAS has been ducking me. Is it live trade voice only or live stream? Every single live trading is not only voice, but it's also what you look at on YouTube. Like, that screen is exactly what I share. So I share live so you guys can see exactly what's on my chart. I live with my voice as well. So you can do either or both. Lander ladies, man. Does DAS have an app? It has an app, yeah. Major problem is clicking the button on time. So that's the thing. You have to figure out why you're not confident. Why are you not confident in clicking the button? A lot of people can't click the button when they're supposed to click the button. Is because they're either their confidence level is not there. They don't want to lose the amount of money that they have. They're scared that their previous problems are going to arise. They're scared if they're wrong in the trade. That's the biggest thing. Like, people are scared to be wrong on the trade. But the only way you can improve your trading is to be wrong, so you'll never be wrong as much again, right? If I continue to keep making mistakes, I now have so many points that I could learn from. If I got in here and I saw the time of sales, and this is why it's super important to record your trades. Journaling is not as impactful to your trading versus you actually recording your trades. If you can record your trades, you'll outpace someone that just writes it down and doesn't take action. If you get into calls right here and you saw ES was rejecting this level and then you made a mistake, then you're like, okay, well, maybe I should have waited for ES next time. And it starts to come down here and it's kind of bouncing here, so you get into calls and then that worked out and you saw ES also bouncing or whatever you're looking at. Like, mistakes will help you a lot to learn from. Like, mistakes are there for you to learn from. The more mistakes you make early on, the more profitable you'll be quicker. And that's 100%. The more mistakes I see someone make at first and they actually learn from that, the quicker they'll be profitable. Like, I know someone that was profitable within like 3 months. He made so many mistakes at first, but he was able to learn from them like that. He was able to learn from them very quickly, and next thing you know, he's profitable in 3 months, which is insane to me, but it's just how people learn. Like, if you make the most mistakes, usually you'll start to become more profitable. You really learn from that because you know exactly what you need to be successful. If you're able to conquer all those mistakes, you'll be successful. That's how it is. Message retracted. The YouTube is different. Do you trade on DAS or TOS? Both. I chart on TOS and execute through DAS. Let's see. You trade smaller size. Yeah. Money isn't the problem, it's failure, but you learn from failure. Yeah, I would say, like, most people, when they're scared to click the button, it's not like mostly it could be their size, but it's mainly because they're just scared of being wrong. Like, a lot of people are just scared to be wrong. And I mean, that's a fear that a lot of people have, but now it's like, it just works out. If you really have the process down in the plan, and you know your plan's pretty solid, it will work out. And if it doesn't, then you need to adjust quickly and just adapt, so you know what to work on. And a lot of people will make excuses for themselves as why they're holding this until negative 50%. If you take a negative 50% loss into this, like, I mean, if that's part of your plan, that's part of your plan. But negative 50% is pretty nuts. It's pretty insane. But I'm going to go over my watch list one more time. Let's go over my watch list one more time. So Tesla, what I'm looking at for Tesla, is this 210 area, right? We're looking at that 210 area. We're looking at that 208, 207 area for upside. Downside has to set up like 201 kind of looks good. The only problem with 201 is this. That looks disgusting. I don't like that whatsoever at 201. But that 192 is pretty far away, and it won't happen today. And if it does, then I won't be able to take it because how far away it is. But hopefully we get this upside move because downside is not looking the best at all on Tesla. Nvidia. Earnings were great quarter over quarter, year over year, not so much, but they don't care. Literally, what were we saying? 235. Literally 235. Who remembers 235 on Nvidia? 235 is right here. That's what I'm looking at. I said pre-market, we're probably going to come up to that 235. Next thing you know, we're up to this 235. So we wanted to take it above that 230, but again, earnings were too strong that Nvidia just wants to keep going up. GDP also came out as well, but we're at this 235 area. That's what I'm looking at for Nvidia, is that 235 area. Downside, potentially back under that 230 possibly. Who knows? I don't really like this price action, but it could set up really good for the downside of Nvidia. ES, these are very important areas. Again, rejected that already. We start to come down. We're at this 4,006. I want to see, depending on, if we're right here, then that's fine. We can play calls or puts either way. But if we start to get up to here, I'm going to be careful about playing calls. If we get down to here, I'm going to be careful about playing puts unless we show momentum in that direction and in that direction. NQ, you guys can see that we came down, bounced off our important key level, came up, retested the zone. Now we're holding the zone. I want to see if we can get above that 12,308 today. This has room for the upside. This also has room to come back and retest that 12,156. Those are two important key levels that I'm looking at. 401.68. Now this is our buyer zone right here. I want to see if we can take it above there. Because if we can, that 402 level is looking good if ES is going with us. So this is looking nice, that 402 area. Moderna, that 150 area, you guys see that now we're under that 151, which was expected. But this 150 to the downside of Moderna is what I'm looking at. Those are the main ones that I'm looking at for today. And Baba, that 102 area, that's what I'm looking at as well for the upside. Nice reaction at this pre-market high, 101.75. So I'm going to add that as well. Reaction right here. So that's all the ones that I'm looking at for today. And watching Meta to the downside. Remember, opportunity cost. If Tesla is setting up, we're back down in the zone. That's crazy. Yeah, so now we're literally back down in the zone right now. It's just bouncing back and forth in our zone for the longest time. But you have to think about the opportunity cost. Would you rather trade Tesla, that 210, which is looking great, or would you rather trade Meta, that's like, it doesn't move as much as Tesla? I'd rather trade Tesla. So you have to think about the opportunity cost. Should I use TOS for better results? Your broker is not going to really... So obviously a better broker is going to be great, but like a lot of people make excuses saying they don't have the best broker, and this is why they hold it to negative 50%. Like, you have to make sure that you're getting a different broker, and it's not because of you. Like, if you're holding it to negative 50% and going past your stop loss, you can't blame the broker because, oh, the broker is this, broker is that. Like, no. But if TOS, like if you're using Robinhood or something like that, then TOS for sure. But remember, don't make like an excuse. Oh, my broker is not that great. Oh, I don't have DAS. You know, this is why I'm holding it to negative 50%. Like, no. You got to make sure that it is exactly because your broker is just lacking. Remember, if you guys get to 70 likes, I'll be here tomorrow. Right now, you guys are not close. It's at 52 likes. So if we get another 18 likes, then I'll live stream tomorrow. Continuation. Yeah, exactly. Continuation to that 235. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Like, I feel like this will be the first 5 minutes, hopefully. So you guys are going to see You guys are going to see a recap of my Instagram story. I post all my recaps on my Instagram way before YouTube. So if you guys want to check that out as well. Also, I gave away like $50 off my chat room yesterday. And I think there's literally 2 left. So if you guys want that, just DM me on Instagram right before the live trading session. What's the max stop loss you recommend for options depending on your trading style? My max loss was going to be different than someone else's max loss. Like, on average, I don't lose more than 5%. So my max stop loss is like that 6 to 8%. Like, that's how I trade. A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, that's this and that. Like, I don't care. Like, that's exactly what my max stop loss is. If you don't like it, you don't like it. It might be too small, but it's literally how I trade. Oh, you guys got the 77 likes? Damn. I just got to ask next time. Come on, fellas, get that likes up. Nah, you guys hit that. So I'll be here tomorrow. We've literally been doing this entire week. We've been doing this entire week. How much did you make in 2022? You sound like my accountant. Holy shit. Y'all be asking some federal questions, bro. Y'all be asking where I live, when I was born. Can I join you in live trading? It's all in the Discord. All in the Discord. Yeah, y'all are nosy. Y'all. Someone was asking, do I have a girlfriend? Like, my goodness. This is dope, my man. Keep doing these lives. Hell yeah. We'll do it tomorrow. Y'all don't be nosy, these feds, bro. What's your grandparents' names? I think a SPY will hit and bounce off the weekly trend line in the next couple of days. LTMI. Try and catch you, bro. Average number of contracts you trade. Depending on what it is. Like, on SPY, when I used to really trade SPY, it was like 400, 500. Now it's only like 90 or 100 on Tesla. Commissions on Tesla, bro, are amazing. Like, I pay like no commissions on Tesla compared to SPY. But the spreads would kind of make up for it, though. Should I buy Tesla? For what? Like, long term? This girl's name is Spy. Thanks, Lander. Of course, of course. You use market orders? Yeah, I use market orders because the only reason why you should be using market orders, number one, I'm not trying to miss the move. So if I'm getting in right away. If I put a limit, it's most likely going to skip. Number two, I find very high liquid contracts that are at the money, so more people will be able to liquidate me, if that makes sense. So if I'm trading something that's like $300 that has like 100,000 volume, I'm going to be able to sell and buy almost immediately. If you buy something that's $50 that only has like 10,000 volume, you're not going to be able to get filled right away compared to something that's very high liquid. So if it's higher liquid, that means the spreads are going to be way smaller. If it's not as liquid, the spreads are going to be way higher. So take something like Netflix. Usually people aren't even looking at Netflix, nor are they buying the options on Netflix, which is why the spreads are so wide, because there's a lack of volume. So this is why I find very high liquid contracts. Okay, things market orders also. Yeah, I always use market orders. Like I just market, because then if I don't sell right away, and I'm going to potentially lose maybe $5 per contract on a $400 contract, which is nothing. That's like 1% to get out right away. Versus if I try and limit order, I might lose $10 trying to chase that, trying to sell because it's not selling. So it's like I'm always just market orders. Especially on Instagram, bet. Les, I think you might be the last one. Because I gave out 25 of them yesterday, and I think like 20-something of them already came out. So I think you might be the last one. What's your grandparents' name? Let's see. What's better, market order or buying the ask? Depends on how you trade. Whatever works for me, works for me. Like, market order has just been working. If you want to get in right away and you don't care about losing $5 per contract to be able to get in, then market order, there you go. But if you want to just join the ask, but if you're buying the ask though, I mean, you could just not get filled as well. That's just basically a limit order. So It just depends. Like if you keep getting skipped, if you keep trying to buy the ask and you keep getting skipped, then I don't know. Might want to be market order. Feeling the 5% stop loss. Yeah, that's just literally like how I trade though. Like you guys saw how I trade. I'll make 5, 10, 15, 20%, and then my stop loss gotta at least be under 1-to-1 risk to reward. That's 5% right there. And usually it doesn't ever hit. Like when we get in, it goes in our direction right away. When we get in, it goes in our direction right away. And if it doesn't, then we know we're wrong in the trade. We might get out of break even. We might get out at negative 2%. Like negative 5% doesn't seem like a lot, but it is for the way that I trade. It's 9:11. All right, we're about to wrap this up in like 2 minutes. Anyone have any last minute questions? We're at 85 likes. Run this up to 100 likes. I'm already streaming tomorrow, but I'll be here at 8 o'clock in the morning as well. But this is everything we're looking at. The most important thing you're getting, dude, if NVIDIA breaks 235 in front of my face like this, pre-market, I might have to buy shares. Scalp shares. This is ridiculous. NVIDIA is so strong that it's just going to give up all its strength pre-market, which kind of sucks. But we're looking at this ES. ES is very important here. ES is very important here. We want to see what it does in this area. I only do like 2 trades, 3 trades. Recently, only like 2 trades. Like, I like to, same thing right there. Like, I like to hit it with size, very high probability trades, and then you're done. Right? If I can hit it with size on very high probability trades and I go 2 for 2, 5 times a week, those will add up. People don't understand. Like, the percentage that I can make in 1 minute, it's insane sometimes, right? Like, I try and base my trades off the gains per minute. The GPM is what I'm calling it. Gains per minute. Terrain Orbital is doing really good. That stock. But like, I try to block out all the noise. Alright. The only thing that I look at is what I'm looking at long term. I have my long term. The main things that I be buying is just ETFs. You know, if a stock comes down to my margin of safety where it's at a good price and I really like the company and there's not a reason why it came down that bad, I'll start to buy some shares. But I really have not been buying any shares just because we've been starting to rally. When we came down in October, I was buying, I think that's the most that I've ever bought in that October area, just because we started coming down pretty crazy. But now, since we've been coming up, I haven't bought anything yet. I haven't really been buying anything. Last time I bought something was in this area right here. When we came down, I was just buying like, I think almost every day. I literally just started buying because we're at that 380 point. Every time I went under 380, I was starting to buy a little bit. It wasn't even a lot. It was something to start buying because you can't time the market. And next thing you know, we started rallying. I haven't bought anything since for a long term. But this is where I was really buying heavily. That 350 was the best buy that I could have gotten on SPY. If you guys remember that 350, literally put an order in for 350. It broke and then came down to that 348, bounced. The biggest bounce ever. Yeah, and people think that I just live trade. Like, live trading and what we provide, like, in the live trading, like, what I'm saying right now, how we're off topic, it's not really off topic. Like, this is just the stuff that is very important. So, when I live trade, we be saying something that actually is meaningful as well. And now here comes ES. Dude, I swear if I look in the video and it broke, oh my gosh. Oh, that's 235, man, on the video. But you guys got enough likes for tomorrow as well. So I'll be here in the live tomorrow as well. And I got to go back to the chat. Wow, live trading. But I'll see you guys in the Discord, hopefully. If not, then I'll see you guys on my recap later on today. Peace.